Archangels, ghosts, and Bigfoot, oh my. It's just another night for Supernatural Girls. Real stories, real answers to life's biggest supernatural mysteries. And now, for another exciting interview with paranormal experts from this world and others. Here's your host, paranormal researcher Patricia Baker, on the one, the only, Supernatural Girls.
Welcome, everyone, to another exciting episode of Supernatural Girls. I'm your host, Patricia Baker, and unfortunately, PK may not be able to join us today. Once again, she's having some back problems, which she's discussed with our audience and with some of the healers that have been on our show, and I'm hoping she can join us a little bit later on. But I do have some other information for you. If you want to be entertained and learn and hear some corruption being outed, it is center stage at the Karen Reed trial in Massachusetts. Apparently, it has attracted worldwide attention, and we are watching corruption at its, what should I say, best, worst. It's out there. And if you want to find out, the place to go is not mainstream media, because their reporting is boring, number one, and number two, it's not accurate. But you can go to TikTok. And some of the best podcasters are providing a blow-by-blow, the transcripts of the trial, clips from the trial, all kinds of fascinating things. And it's funny as heck. And one of the people I want to give a shout out to and recommend to you, she goes by the handle of Nerdy Pink Panda. She's fantastic. And if you want to see somebody do a takeoff on the judge, then look up Maureen Hancock. Maureen is also a psychic medium, but she is a dead ringer for the judge. And I'm talking twins. These two, you can't tell them apart. And Maureen has taken it upon herself to entertain you with her interpretation of the judge, who we affectionately call Auntie Bev. So those I highly recommend. And the DUI guy is an attorney who's also making commentary. It's all fascinating. It's very entertaining. And you get the truth there. So take a look. Now, tonight, I have a tremendous guest. We've been wanting to get him back on the show forever because he's so brilliant. I mean, this guy is just pure brilliance. And if you're not following him on Facebook, you are missing out. William Stickevers is here with us tonight. I'll tell you a little bit about him, then I'm just going to bring him on because we have a lot to talk about. Now, he has a broad scope of political, economic, psychological, spiritual, and metaphysical knowledge. He's got it all. Now, William systematically explores possibilities about the future and how they can emerge from the present by weaving current secular trends, geopolitical factors, and mundane astrological portents. He is a counseling astrologer, and he's been a counseling astrologer since 1988, mostly in New York and now in San Francisco. I'm not sure if he's still in San Francisco. I thought he was in Nevada, but anyways, we'll ask him about that. And William is well-versed in psychological, horary, electional, medieval, and Renaissance branches of astrology. He is certified in Astro Carto Graphy and worked with Alphee Lavoie of Astrological Institute of Research, AIR. Now, I could go on and on talking about him, but I'm not going to because I'd rather talk with him. So, William, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me on again, Patricia.
I am so glad to see you because this world is changing so rapidly, and we just can't keep up. So PK and I were talking at length about you because you are one of the very few astrologers that we trust, that we know has the inside story on all of this. And you were one of the few that predicted the election results. So many other astrologers, I don't know what they were thinking, but they were all predicting that Kamala was going to win.
Kamala landslide.
Yeah. And what in the world? I mean, it was so diluted. You were right all along, as you have been. And that's why we love having you here. because love the fact that you can give our listeners and us such accurate information. So the world is changing quickly. Where do you want to start?
Well, I just think we're moving towards an emergence of what I would call singularity or AI singularity. And I think the world is moving much faster. I think the metaphysical community is a day late and dollar short, just like they were on the Kamala landslide. And they need to wake up to the fact to this. And between 2025 and 2027, global civilization is going to confront a liminal passage, a period of accelerated technological, ontological, and metaphysical upheaval. That's where I see things are going. And we are in a position right now, and that's why we're seeing that play out in the secular world, the political world, the financial world. Every sector in every way is being impacted by this. And we've got these very powerful alignments coming into formation. The Saturn-Neptune conjunction at the world point, which we're effectively at right now, which will peak in 2026 and bleed into 2027. And then we have the third Uranus return of the U.S. that hits exact in 2027, but we're going to feel it in 2026. And that occurs every 84 years. Go back every 84 years. You had World War II, Great Depression, 84 years, Civil War prior to that period. And then we had the U.S. Revolutionary War. So things are just getting started. So we're going to have a period of tremendous defiance, rebellion, innovation, sovereignty, massive breakthroughs in technology, both at a technological, ontological, and metaphysical level. And so the 2025, 2027 period is going to be themes of disruptive emancipation from the repressive postmodern system that was put in place from 1945 onward, and technological reinvention upon the national and global psychosphere.
That's a mouthful. So in terms of specifics here, you're talking about an incredible impact. There she is. She made it.
She made it. Great.
Hey, Bill, you got to put PK on the screen with us, please, so she can join the party. Hello, Bill. I'm not sure I can move her. You can add to stage. I did it. Okay. All right. There you are. How you feeling? How you feeling, girlfriend?
I've been a little shot up.
Okay. Well, then you must be feeling good. So
I am. That I am. Little
made.
And how are you doing, William?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Thank you
fabulous.
for joining us. Thank you. Thank you. I let my hair go a little this morning, but I think it'll cut it. I got the artist look today.
Well,
You look good.
no, it's the intelligent, I know everything look.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah. So William was just explaining to us everything that we're going to be seeing happening in the next couple of years. And I know, PK, you've got questions for William because you've been dying to have him on the show forever.
You got that right.
Yes. So in terms of all these upheavals, you're also saying we're going to see some defiance. And where does that come from?
Yeah, it's going to be not the type of defiance with Black Lives Matter, which basically was overhyped and not really, it wasn't really organic. It was all manufactured by the deep state. We're going to see a type of defiance against the type of repressive taxation system. And this is going to be exacerbated by the fact that we're no longer going to need labor to generate capital. So the economic system that we have that measures GNP based on human productivity, that generates capital, that creates CapEx, reinvestment into the economy, and all that is going to be completely upended because of the AI revolution that is now spreading like a virus and integrating into everything in every industry at an exponential rate, including this industry.
Right.
So what you're saying is, I think a lot of us are still asleep about this. We don't understand the impact.
Yeah.
That's right. High impact coming, especially to the light workers who think they are above having to even address this issue because they believe intuition trumps everything, not realizing that we have AI doing remote viewing as well or better than some high-end world-class remote viewers.
That's
So
wild.
we're seeing a psychotronic integration happening now, or there's or psionic or psychotronic. It used to be called psychotronic, now it's called psionic. They all mean the same thing. We're seeing like a bionic, I think that's easier, bionic integration of AI with human capabilities and intuition. We're going to see that accelerate, penetrate, and become part of the new age community that, you know, in every area, in every way, not just astrology, but also not just remote viewing. We'll see AI now working with mediums, AI working with physical mediumship, AI working in every way, in every capacity that will enhance and improve and legitimize in many ways. Although I think the scientific circle will just never legitimize anything, right?
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of academics.
Yes.
Right. So we're going to see that.
The ability to learn all of this, that's what I see as all the balls in the air.
Well, here's the thing. You know, I had some people who are up there in age between 70 and 84 leading into their second Saturn return, which is at 87. And they started integrating AI just in terms of their emails and all. And they said, it's like they are now more proficient and learned more and are actually more integrated more with technology in their daily lives than they were in the past 30 years since computers came out. Because the AI knows what you want and can do it for you, can deliver that to you, versus where you had to know what you wanted and know how to get to that before you could get your answer.
Yes. That's
so
true.
in essence, this just giving it the bits and pieces, it figures out what we really want to do.
Exactly. You don't even really need to prompt anymore. It used to be a year ago, you had to be a prompt engineer. Now you just like put in what you want and it'll say, okay, I think I know what you want. Let me just be clear. Is that it? Yes, do it. And then bang, create a graphic, an image, make a podcast for me, use a podcast using my image, and it'll look like you talking right now. In fact, the next presentation I do, or you know what I should do? We should do a show where it's not really me, but I answer all the questions and I look exactly like this with a different shirt and you wouldn't know. And then at the end of the show, I go, that was AI talking.
Wow.
What day do you want to do that?
Well, we could do that today. We could have done that today, but I didn't want to do that. I want to give you fair warning.
Yeah, let's
I think that'd be fabulous to do.
Yeah,
yes.
That would be shocking for people because, again, I don't think a lot of people understand this yet, of how it is already here.
It's already here. So what, you know, like we could take everything from Supernatural Girls and put it all into the AI easily. That's easily. Take all the transcript and then have both of you interview someone and it'll be the AI doing it and it'll look like both of you. Okay. And the person, and it'll be the best program and the best, it'll be better than anything both of you could have done.
Right.
I like that idea.
and this is going to happen this year. So Supernatural Girls may be like, well, today we're going to be live, but next week we're going to let the AI interview so-and-so. And then this is where it's going.
Incredible.
It's just amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Yes.
What little bit I've seen of it, I go into panic mode very easily, as Patricia knows, trying to figure out what to make it work. And when it doesn't fall in the line where I can understand it, then I go, oh my God, I've done it wrong. And I know there's not a wrong to it. It's attitude to it.
Well, the AI has taken all that out of it now. I know exactly what you're thinking because I was in the AI. I wasn't also in the AI, but I was in the IT field from the early 1990s. I was actually in it from the late 80s, right? So I was on the internet when it was just the BBC, right? They call it the BBC. So I was on it like on the ARPANET. And so I see the struggles people had with it. And now most of that has been completely stripped out now, so where people can just start using this stuff and it could write poetry at a better level than any poet. It could write an essay so let's just say you wrote an outline of an essay, just like 20 bullet points. Say, make this into a world-class essay and then have me read that essay, right, in my image, in my voice, and it can do that all instantly now. So all of this is available now, and the metaphysical community especially, that's why I'm on the show today, they are resisting it with a vengeance.
Mistake there. Big mistake.
Big mistake, right. And they want to be taken seriously, right? And they
Yeah.
want to keep raising their fees so they can have a 7-figure income like everybody else, right? And who lives in California, especially.
Yeah, that's right.
And they want to resist it, right? They don't think it's authentic or disingenuous, but actually it's the most empowering thing. So I think big changes are coming. And I think by 2026, either you made a transition or you become irrelevant.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we don't want to be irrelevant, and that's
No,
why
I got to make a
we really
transition.
learn what to do. Yeah, no, this is really helpful information. It is for everybody, not
Yeah.
just people in this field, but certainly if people in this field are thinking they're above and beyond that, they're in for a rude awakening.
Well,
Absolutely. That's why I'm here, because, you know, I was telling everyone in 2022, you were all in for a rude awakening about what's going to happen geopolitically. And everyone said, what are you talking about? And then boom, Russia invades Ukraine, right? Now, fortunately, Trump is bringing that to resolution. They are talking this week. They are talking to one another. Trump is overseeing that process, and he's going to make sure they both get a deal they're happy with, and that the U.S. will unleash the sanctions, inject monetary liquidity in both their economies, and get everyone to start trading again.
Right.
And I think that's a big breakthrough. That's one of my predictions for this year, by the way. That's why I'm bringing it up.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Well, I remember when we first met so many years ago, I was always fascinated because you were so far ahead of everybody else and knew what I felt comfortable with whatever you put out.
Yes.
And so I've been following along, and I go, oh, and this is what he said. Oh,
it's happened again. William's got it again. Yes, I mean, your predictions are always right on. They're just amazing.
Definitely.
And you've been, what I want to tell everybody too about your Facebook page is you've been kind enough and generous enough to share a lot of this on your Facebook pages. And it's just brilliant writing, everybody. And it's easy to understand and to see where things are going. If you're not following William on Facebook, you should be. William Stickevers on Facebook.
Definitely.
And I know you have a website also, williamstickevers.com. And William also offers a financial group information and many other things. Go to his website so you can sign up and partake of this knowledge so you don't get left behind. And hopefully you can talk this over with your financial consultants and see what makes sense for you, because that's the financial side of all of this too that's changing rapidly.
Yes. And by the way, I put my R-rated post on X, much more controversial, much more provocative stuff on X instead of Facebook. Facebook is a little bit, you know, you got to go a little bit PG-13 on that one.
You do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So if you really want the real predictions that are going to get you to fall out of your chair or throw your glass of water against the screen, then go to my X.
And that's the name. That's William Stickevers. Okay. Is that it?
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Yes.
All right. So what's going to be happening financially? There's a lot of changes there.
Yeah. Basically, we're seeing a civilizational bifurcation point, and that also implies that we're seeing a change in the global financial system. And this is like, look, this should have happened back in 2020, but we all know what happened then, right? And they basically, the past administration actually put us back 4 years in terms of that transition. So they were very repressive with the taxation, very repressive economically, very repressive with policy, very repressive with the development of crypto and the tokenization of real world assets. I could go on and on and on. They were a very repressive, deep state type of administration, very deep state driven, right? Where they wanted to centralize money, control, and power to a select few at the expense of everyone else. And this goes beyond partisan red, blue politics. This administration was nothing like we've ever seen in previous Democratic administrations. This is a completely different animal.
Right.
So, okay. So that being said, Trump comes in and he has a Sun Uranus conjunction, and he is now realizing, because he surrounds himself with very brilliant people like Elon Musk, who understands where the future is going. He understands AI. In fact, Elon Musk is coming out with a new version of AI that's about to rival, we already know, based on the preliminary benchmark results, about to rival OpenAI and Google. Like, he is right up there with the top chip makers in the world, the top AI. You know, if you go to Grok inside of X, you you have, there's no limit to your intelligence, right? When you're on X, because you can just use Grok for free. But here's my point. Trump's got people like Elon Musk and a whole other set of people that understand where the world is going. And Trump is convinced by them, right? He gets it because he's a Sun-Uranus conjunction individual. Sun-Uranus people are always around 7 to 14 years ahead, right? So he's buying up real estate 7 to 14 years ahead in areas people like, what are you buying all this real estate for, right? And then he built huge buildings that no one thinks they're going to fill, right? And then he makes sure it's a certain type of customer client that nobody at the time would think would buy it. And that's exactly what Trump is doing now, where he's re-engineering the United States economy and at the same time the global economy, because he's forcing the world by playing a very high-risk game of poker to re-engineer their economies, not for the 1945-2020 economy, right, but for the economy, a 21st century economy that is decentralized, driven and governed by AI, right, that is far smarter and far more powerful than any group of humans or one human, and building an economy that where wealth and control is decentralized throughout the population and not, right, where, look, majority of the money in this country that is generated, we're the richest country in the world, 90% of the wealth that's generated every year goes to a select 1%. It never used to be that way. It never used to be that way until when? It started in 1992, right?
92.
So we've had, 92, when Bill Clinton took over and George Bush accelerated that, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's not just a Democrat or Republican thing. They were both operating with this type of world where, right, it was going to be a top-down type of world. So Trump is upending that. He's not, right, and he's got key people that if you read these policy papers like I have, and then you have the ChatGPT or Grok or AI say, what is this really saying at a deeper level that's beyond my 138 IQ? All right. What it's saying is a complete epochal global financial reset, right? So they're attempting a soft reset because they know if they don't, we're moving through a 1931 hard reset. So 29, when the stock market went down, they tried to extend and pretend. And what happened? Forced a hard reset in 31 where 8,000 banks went under inside of 3 months worldwide. That's the hard reset. They're trying to do a soft reset and move everything to crypto, real world tokenization of all assets that's the plan. And they're trying to get everyone on board, including Wall Street, which has now accepted Bitcoin, real world tokenization. They see it. They see the world is moving decentralized. And the only way for them to survive is to take first mover advantage.
How do we all get to learn about some of these things? Because most of us have never heard of some of it that they're trying to produce right now. And it's happening so fast, they don't get a chance. We don't get a cheat sheet to go with it to learn how to do it better.
Yeah, I would say that, well, people can come to my GTA group and and be part of my.
Really recommend that. Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of it out there. There's a lot out there in the podcasting world and on YouTube. All right. There's a lot of, I'm not the only person discussing this. I'm just looking at it from a larger astrological framework.
Well, there aren't many people you trust either. And from the first time I saw you, I've had a trust for what you put out and how you lay things out.
Exactly.
So it'd be kind of hard to go to somebody else to take a look and see what they're offering.
Yeah, I mean, there are some other people out there, but a majority, I would say, are blue-pilled. They want to go back to Kamala Harris. They believe she'll be the 2028 presidential nominee. I mean, you still see the community still trying to lean into that blue pill worldview. So the red pill worldview, which is the one I espouse, and it's only a small minority accepts, is that we are moving towards a world of intelligence, where super intelligence is going to permeate every device, everything in our homes, everywhere. Intelligence is going to be everywhere, and we're going to have human AI labor hybridity, which is where there's going to be no limit to the amount of output, no limit to work, right? We're going to see a world where we're transitioning into abundance, right? Because of the robots, because 2026 is the year the incarnation of machine intelligence gets fused with robotic embodiment, humanoid, autonomous robotic embodiment, like you've seen, right? Like we've seen in the sci-fi movies, right? Where now that robot that can change the baby diapers, or it could actually repair the leak under the sink at the same time, right? Has an IQ of 250 or higher and gets an upgrade every 4 months where its intelligence doubles.
I can't wait.
Smarter than I am. I couldn't handle that.
Just
Right.
think, you know, they'll cook for you, they'll clean for you. I mean,
Well,
my God.
that's a good point. That's a good point. Now,
I
Yeah.
live for that day.
how are we going to go about learning all of these things that are being?
Well, you're going to just have to have me on the show a lot more.
No, my
Okay.
goodness.
How about next week? Are you ready?
No problem. Let's go.
Okay, got it.
We are going. Well, and I see also with PK and I have talked a lot about financial investments, and I know
Right.
you're not a financial counselor, but that's a lot of confusion for people in our generation
yes.
in terms of where to put our money. What do we do to make sure that we don't get left behind with that?
Or
The
lost.
only thing there's a lot of different strategies, but the simplest strategy is Bitcoin. Now, let me explain why. Right? What business could you invest in, or asset, or a company, or project that will outperform Bitcoin's 150 plus % performance over the past 16 years? Name
Yeah.
one.
Can't. Yeah.
Zero.
Right.
Right.
Right? So what's the probability now that Bitcoin is a strategic asset for the United States, a strategic asset for Arizona, a strategic asset for New Hampshire, and about to be a strategic asset for Texas, along with all the major sovereign wealth funds, along with BlackRock, which has $11 trillion of assets and is committed to investing at least 1% this year of that 11 trillion into Bitcoin, along with the United States buying 1 million Bitcoins between now and 2030. There's only 2.6 million Bitcoin left on the planet that's available to buy, right? So when you look at the level of scarcity for Bitcoin increasing and the level of Bitcoin available on the exchanges, right? And the fact that it'll take another 132 years to make the other 5% of Bitcoin,
Wow.
makes it the best front run asset in the world. And remember, it has a 16-year track record so anyone who's not putting substantial investment in Bitcoin, whether you're 17 or 70, just is not based on true analysis and intelligence.
And what about, I see that you had an altcoin seminar
Yes.
coming up. So that's going to play a role in this as well?
Yes, because we know the altcoins in the second half of a Bitcoin halving period, which happens every 4 years, occurs. We see the altcoin market go parabolic for 6 months. And this correlates with the amount of global M2 liquidity being injected in the system to refinance all the debt that was created and never paid off during the 2008 crisis to prevent the baby boomer pensions and Social Security and all that to going to zero, because you would have 1/3 of the population or more completely living in the streets. So to prevent that, they have to refinance and print more money out of thin air to refinance the baby boomer generation, 1945 to 1961, right? That population would be complete. So people don't understand that. Right.
Yeah.
That's the real reason. And a lot of younger people who know that go, hey, I don't want to invest in that anymore. I am not putting my money into stock market. I'm putting it into Bitcoin.
Mhm.
So that's the bigger issue. But the reason we have all that liquidity, guess where all that extra liquidity goes into? Altcoins. And we know, you could become wealthy in 6 months if you know which altcoins to invest in. Right. And using the different technologies I use 3 different technologies, combine them together, and then we can out of the 9,000 altcoins, I can I can reduce it down to, like, let's say 12, and say, we know if only 5 of these 12 outperform the way we believe, you could turn 10,000 into 100,000 easily, right? So, however, keep in mind, right, when you're talking about altcoins, it's the most sophisticated, most risky type of investment. So your 10,000 could go to 0 or it could go to 1 million, really depends, right? So that's what we need to keep in mind. But we know the altcoin market begins in June and goes parabolic into November, December, before we have the big blow off top that will happen sometime in the first quarter of 2026.
Okay, so that's great. Now, how do people join your workshops so they can learn
Yeah,
more?
they could go to my website, williamstickevers.com,
Mhm.
and it's listed right there. They'll see that the altcoin webinar. It's actually, let me read the literal statement there. It's saying altcoin super cycle briefing webinar. And so I give enough information there so you could decide, all right, I'm going to choose my own altcoins and make money, or I'm going to join this program, right? And then over the next 6 months, I will show you what I'm doing. I can't tell you what you should do because, right, only a financial advisor can do that. But I can only say, hey, listen, this is what I'm doing. I made money since 2010 before anybody knew anything about altcoins and Bitcoin and all that stuff, right? And I'm going to just show you what I'm going to do. If you don't want to do it, fine. I'm going to make money anyway. Why don't you watch what I do, and then you can emulate it or decide not to.
Good sense.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's
fantastic.
all. That's what I'm offering.
Yeah.
Okay, so everybody can go to William's website and you can sign up there if you'd like. This is very exciting stuff. It really is.
Definitely.
Really great.
It almost seems unreal.
Yeah.
You know what's funny though? I got to tell you this. Who's most against all of what we're talking about? AI, Bitcoin, crypto. Take a guess.
I'll let you say it.
The metaphysical community.
Yes. What's wrong with them?
Well,
My God.
that's why I'm asking you. You would know better than me because I'm in my own little universe now, right?
Well, I really don't have a good
they don't trust. They really don't
trust.
If they don't see it in black and white, they don't trust.
That's funny coming from metaphysical people.
But when you think about it,
it's absolutely.
Why do you think we have got what 700 books on one shelf all about it to try to figure it out?
Right.
But
Well, here's the thing. If it was 1965, right, when the counterculture movement was really taking off, those new age kids would jump into this with a vengeance. But the current crop of new age zillennials, if you will, they're really like, I don't know. It's too, so I'm just wondering what the difference between this current generation of new agers versus the previous generation going back 40, 50 years.
Yeah, I mean, it would take some exploration to answer these very difficult questions. We don't understand it. I mean, we're much older than many of these people, and we're trying to master these things, as you hear PK asking, and how do we do this? Why not? You got to change with the times, and you got to keep up with what's going on, or be left in the dust. Like you said, be replaced. Now it's about becoming, as you said, irrelevant if you don't.
Definitely. Well, it's the things that you want to do, and you want to learn more about doing it easier, but smarter.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Everything ends up being harder these days because you're only getting part of the story. That's why I enjoy finding out what you have to say. Because you're a smart fellow, and I like that.
We love
that.
I
just do my homework. I'm not any smarter than anybody else. I just do my homework. I count 9 times before I cut once. That's my approach. And I tend to realize one thing, maybe I got this a little earlier than some, but it's sort of like when everyone says X is going to happen, 80% probability what's going to happen, the opposite. Right.
Good
so when
point.
a newspaper says Kamala wins by a landslide, we don't even need to discuss this anymore. That, basically that was the August headlines that we believe it's already a locked in race. And or when you see the astrologers saying things such as, well, I don't want to really there are a lot of people are doing really good work out there. But what happens is when you see too much consensus, when everybody's thinking alike in the room, someone in the room is not thinking. When everybody's thinking alike, right? And that goes against a lot of this metaphysical kumbaya principles.
Right. Well, it's cookie cutter. And when they start cookie cutters, there's going to be a fly in the ointment somewhere.
It's just not what it's supposed to be. Yeah, exactly. Well, let me ask you also, because you still do private readings, yes, for people?
Yes.
So, and what I like about the way you're doing your private readings too, is you take into account everything that's going on around that person globally. So people are getting a really big picture of their lives, and their path and everything. So how do they set up private readings with you?
Well, they could just reach out to me. They go right to my website and they could reach out to my team. I have Betty right now. She's handling, she's overwhelmed. She's handling all the requests. We do have, I'm quite a bit backed up, but if you lock something in, we can certainly see if we can push that up. But as you know, I've been a bit overwhelmed with all the stuff that's going on. And, the thing I try and look at for readings is not just, I really look at, okay, if knowing what I know about what's about to happen over the next 2-3 years, I look at that in terms of how that may impact you. Where's your financing? Are you a walking Blockbuster Video? You remember Blockbuster Video?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
For a while till they left.
I wouldn't want to be that.
Let me remind you, and I'm sure you remember this. In 2011, their stock was $60 a share, and they were in every city with 30,000 people or more nationwide. The next year, they were down to one store.
Yeah.
Because Netflix started streaming, and they said, we don't need to go there.
That's right.
So are you, everybody listening? Because the AI consciousness, AI co-creation reality revolution is here already. Are you a walking Blockbuster Video? Is your business, is your life, is the way you make an income? That's what I'm generally addressing these days in a reading, and then giving you strategy, not leaving you high and dry like a lot of people who can consult these days. They tell you and then they move on.
Yes.
I give you the strategies.
Yeah, and that's what's so helpful. It's actionable information, which is wonderful. So again, I wanted to make sure people know how to get a hold of you. So let's talk a little bit, if we can, about the integration of this extra dimensional consciousness and all of this supposed disclosure that we know will never happen coming from the government. What do you see with our experiences coming up with all that energy?
Well, there's been a lot of disclosure going on. It's all over the place every day in every way. A new high-level whistleblower who worked in JFK administration, who worked in the CIA under Richard Bissell, who worked with, there's so many people coming out every day, going on YouTube, who are sworn under oath and by different journalists that are blowing the lid open. And many of these people are now going to Capitol Hill. They actually had a recent meeting at Capitol Hill. We just saw a number of them speak on the different alien groups that are here, describe them. And this is right in front of congressmen. This is on C-SPAN, folks.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not making this up. Just a week ago, crickets, a metaphysical community, crickets, right? So we're seeing massive disclosure happening. What we're not seeing is the confirmation yet, and that is coming. So I want you to keep in mind, well, nothing's really happening with the government. No, a lot of stuff is happening with the government. Government's having meetings on a bi-monthly basis on all the secrecy, all these, and they meet in a skiff. They see what they can't discuss. They decide what they can discuss, and then they have an open meeting. And what they tell us, we already sort of knew, right? There's nothing really that they say that we didn't know.
Oh, that's it. Yes.
But they're saying this is true, but we can't tell you why that's true. And we already know why that's true too. But but it is unfolding like an avalanche that's gaining more and more speed and momentum. And so I think that that's something we need to realize going forward, that we're going to get much more disclosure. Now, here's the other reason why. There's one thing the astrologers are not thinking about, because they don't believe in AI. How long will our AI detect their AI, start talking with their AI, because all aliens have AI, right?
Mhm.
We have it, they have it. And theirs is a lot better than ours. And our AI doubles in intelligence and in capability every 4 months now. And they know that.
Oh
Woo.
my.
The aliens know that. They know, they'll be
Mhm.
able to engineer a starship inside of less than 100 years, maybe 20 years or 50 years, depending on how fast they get the ASI. They're concerned about that. All right. And they
Yes.
should be.
Yeah. I
Okay.
guess.
So this is why it's coming out. Just by the way, you had like one of the biggest breakthroughs was the insider from the Immaculate Constellation program, right? That was, and it was just like crickets. I mean, this is being discussed everywhere.
Recently.
And the metaphysical community is like crickets again. But
Mhm.
here's the reason it's coming out. Not just because the US Pluto return, we talked about the Pluto return where all the secrets will come out,
Mhm.
right? The shadow government, the Platonic crisis, the rebirth through revelation. This is all connected to UFOs. We're finding out with the 80,000 documents, which I had ChatGPT review, and I said, give me the central reason why JFK. We know we have a body. We know there's 4 shooters now. That's all in the documents. Crickets, don't say anything, right? But what was the motive? Because without motive, you can't put someone in prison. You need motive too. You just can't have a body. And it said, because of the imminent revelations of the UFO ET presence on Earth that the Kennedy administration was putting into motion, and more importantly, even more important is the fact that the Kennedy administration was going to work with the Soviets and share our reverse engineering technologies with them in the plan to go to the moon to begin military and civilian reconnaissance missions on those active alien bases on the moon. That's all in there. Crickets, don't talk about it. Nothing to see here.
Yeah.
Right?
Why are they doing it? Because
Incredible.
yeah,
All
because
coming out.
I even heard something saying that all that file provided was the fact that there was a lone shooter. It's like it's been proven it
No.
wasn't a lone shooter.
No. Everyone who works with ChatGPT or working not just with chat, but like any type of, there's plenty of them out there. I just happen to use chat more, and I do use the other ones as well for different applications. So I've been going through it, and I'm putting a whole in November, and both of you are welcome to it.
Yes.
To my presentation. I'm doing a whole like re-engineering, revamping. It's going to be like my JFK, what really happened, my JFK presentation.
Great. Yes.
Because we already know a lot of this, and if you go to these podcasts, they're already talking about it, but I'm going to put it all together in a timeline. And it all goes to what? One thing. Aliens, UFOs, the cover-up, the UFO secrecy, and the government deception. And this is what is now blowing up. And
Can't hide
with
anymore.
those revelations comes other revelations about, whoa. You built an infrastructure to reverse engineer these technologies. Where's all that money? That's the 92 trillion missing, right? I'm sure you heard about that.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
From Catherine Austin Fitz.
Must be in my bedroom.
Right? 92 trillion. Oh, we have to build these alien weapon systems to defend ourselves from this particular group that is very hostile, right? Okay, great, fine. Let's get 92 trillion. How are we going to do that? This is how we're going to do that. This country has so much money, right? We have technology that's 6 generations ahead, both in energy and propulsion technology. Did you not hear also the revelation, by the way, inside of Trump administration, we have the ability to manipulate time, right?
Yes.
All of this is coming out. Crickets, don't say anything. Do not have a show on this, ladies.
That'll be our next
That's
show.
what's going on.
Yeah. Because we hear it every once in a while. Somebody will start talking about time travel, which we know they have in their abilities. So sure.
But confirmed it and said we have this capability. And then you had Trump. Okay, so when there was the issue over Taiwan, CNN, these too smart to fail CNN nasty correspondent says to Trump in the White House, well, shouldn't we not be concerned of not pushing China too far on the economic sanctions due to their military threat to Taiwan? And what did he say about that? What did he say about that? Do you know what he said?
I don't remember that. No.
Okay.
What?
He talked about we have weapon systems that are so advanced and so powerful that nobody is aware of, right? And he alluded to what these weapon systems could do. And he said nuclear weapon. He didn't say this per se, but what he implied is that our nuclear capability is like the low end of the totem pole of our strategic defense, meaning like that's like using a tank when you have drones, right? Like now with drones, tanks are almost obsolete.
Right.
I mean, that's what we found out in the Ukraine war.
Point.
So he talked about that in detail. I wrote an article on this. Again, crickets. And we had a number of scientists talk about what these weapons could possibly be, right? So a lot of it was based on the Tesla technology and who was involved in reverse engineering a lot of those weapon systems, or at least the person who put that together was John Trump, Donald Trump's uncle. Yes.
Exactly. Yes, that's true. Yeah.
About
you know,
that,
you can't make this up.
I know. What a great movie.
Yeah, and yet
it's all tied together one way or another.
There's no discussion. Trump literally said, I just pulled it up here while we're talking. All right, this is on April 9th, 2025, right in the White House. See this on C-SPAN. No one has a clue what it is. No one has a clue. Our technologies permit us to manipulate time and space. He says, so he's talking about.
Started. Yeah.
Okay. So we have far more power. The nuclear weapons are like almost like, that's a front for what we could really do. What we're saying is what we could really do to China is way beyond what nuclear weapons could do. Way beyond.
So like that's like a caveman weapon, and we've got something that's so much more advanced than that. That's amazing. Yeah, now that you mentioned it, I do remember something about that. I just didn't know where to take it. But yeah, I think it's very difficult for people to wrap their minds around it. Those of us that have been in the paranormal field for a long, long time, we've heard about all this stuff. We've heard about the inner earth. We've heard about all of these other things, and these technologies have been alluded to many times over. So maybe it's a little easier for us than it is for people in the 9-to-5 world. I don't know.
Yeah, so I don't know. That's why I'm saying, why the crickets? I mean, you think the metaphysical world be jumping up and down and going, oh my God, we're getting finally, after 70 years or 80, it was actually almost 80 years of repression, denials, lies, these declassified governments, high-level testimony, confirmed military patents, public official remarks are coming out. No, let's talk about Trump tariffs.
Yeah. Now, this latest whistleblower that you just talked about, he's also talking about the whole nature of reality, which is very interesting to us, that it's not anything of what we think it is. And so he's pulling back the covers on that, that's of interest. I'm so tired of hearing about the lights in the sky. Who cares about that? I want to hear more about this, our reality, our power. Who are we really? Those are the questions that make sense to be answered to me.
Yes, we just had AI confirm that. So AI, right? We just had that at CERN, where they were looking at the quantum mechanics that lie in regards to the principles of superposition, so superposition states that quantum bits can simultaneously exist in multiple possible states. And this is how the universe really, really works. So they had the AI do the deep dive, and basically it basically came to the conclusion in its discussion with the scientists at CERN, and we have this you can see this in a YouTube video, that consciousness is a fundamental concept of reality, that the AI is confirming that consciousness is a fundamental ontological element of the universe itself. That come from some theorist. I'm sure you may have heard of it back in the day, right?
Right.
I believe this was like channeled by Seth back in the day, but this is coming directly out of a AI system saying panpsychism, right? That everything is alive, everything is conscious, like a rock is sort of like a hard drive of data based on the Earth 3 million years ago, right? and everything is integrated information. So, right, and quantum consciousness, right? All consciousness is operating at a quantum level. So space-time itself possesses an intrinsic distributed awareness. And this, again, comes from the recent revelations from CERN and from the AI, Google's quantum AI laboratory.
That's incredible. I'm loving this. This is exciting.
Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Now, when you do a private reading with somebody, and obviously all of this comes into play, this, I would guess, would give them a great path to know what's coming in the world, what's coming for them personally, how it's integrated, how they can make use of it. Because a lot of this information, I think people would just sit there and now, okay, now what do I do with that? But you'd be able to direct them, right? And say, this is what you do.
My Netflix watching time in my living room.
Oh, this is great stuff. This is because you're helping us understand things. You're also leading us forward and saying, don't be afraid of it. It's here to stay. And this is how you can make use of it. This is how it can enhance your life. You can't stay
I think most people are really afraid of it because they don't understand it.
Well, what about there's nothing to fear but fear itself?
Yeah.
I don't disagree with you about that. That's for sure.
Why does that apply to the economy, but not metaphysics or AI or anything else?
Well, and one of the things you brought up in some of the things I've read that you've written is about how this is changing medicine. And I've heard from a lot of people saying, my doctor got it wrong, but AI got it right.
Yeah. And I'm going to advise you ladies and everybody else listening to this is to take all your medical records, get it from your doctor. You're allowed to. They'll put it in a PDF. They'll email it to you, including your scans, all your scans. You put it into the AI and say, do a full diagnosis and prognosis, and give me a pathway to my medical issues, whatever they may be. Put everything in there. Just throw everything in there. And here's the reason why. 73% of doctors misdiagnose, underdiagnose, or downplay people's symptoms and get it wrong. ChatGPT, the version last year, the version now is far more intelligent. The version last year had a 99.2% accuracy on difficult to diagnose issues. So they had a group of doctors, and then they had the AI, and the doctors got it wrong 73% of the time.
Whew.
Okay.
Wow.
They missed it. They said it was this instead of that, or they applied the wrong prognosis. So I would say right now, just do that and then go and speak with your doctor.
Yeah. That's
incredible.
They should pay you at that point. So
you're going to have a very different conversation.
Yes,
exactly. So.
Oh gosh, well, we've come to about the end of our time, which I hate to say out loud because this has been so fascinating, so exciting. I really feel some actual healing taking place and understanding and wrapping our minds around all of this and embracing it, embracing these changes.
I agree.
We can.
So when are you coming back, William?
Well, I didn't hear you. Yeah.
I said, and when are you coming back?
Oh, as soon as you want me.
Okay, we want you here every show.
Okay. Well, I think what we should do is do a show just on how AI is going to impact metaphysics.
Okay.
I think that's great.
Do the deep dive.
I think that's fabulous.
It's a deal. We will definitely do that. We'll talk with Betty and see when we can grab you back on here.
Sure.
And please thank Betty. She's wonderful. She gets everything together to make all of this happen.
I will let her know. She will appreciate that.
Yeah, we love Betty. Thank you, Betty.
It's so good seeing you again. And
good seeing you.
I'm always in awe listening to you and reading what you're doing. And I'm going, oh.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Really.
It's always fun being on this show.
You are the best. And again, it's williamstickevers.com. Go to William's Twitter account, his Facebook account, and there you will find some fascinating things. So
most definitely.
Sure, you become a follower there. You will not be sorry, I guarantee it. So we will be back next week, everybody, with another great show. And just we'll keep you posted on when William's coming back, because this has been a very, very top of the line here show. And we're just going to keep on this direction with William. So thanks everybody for tuning in. I saw a lot of chat going on in the chat room. Everybody had something to say about this. All good. So
good.
And
No
thank you.
naysayers, I hope.
Yeah.
Not yet.
No, not at all. Everybody's taking it in. So
All right.
until next week, everybody, we will see you on the Blue Highway. Good night.
Good
Good night.
night.